To have this conversation. When will enough be enough? Something has to give. Joining me now is Councilman Rahman Johnson. He represents Jacksonville City Council District 14, and he is a professor of journalism at Edward Waters University, the university where the shooter went prior to the Dollar General. Councilman, thank you for being here today. First, our hearts go out to you and the people of the Jacksonville community. I know that there were 2 prayer vigils that took place today. Additional ones are planned. How are people feeling?
The mood is sadness and heaviness. I will say it's not anger. Yesterday, while I was in the community, I went over and spent time, and I ran over instantly because I'm a 5th generation Edward Waters University graduate, and now as a professor. That's home. As a journalist who's traveled the world doing this journalism work, I come with a unique perspective, and just the stories that were there, and for us to be a part of it. We stood together in the middle of the street, holding a prayer vigil, holding hands, and it's heaviness, and it's not even anger. As I hugged and as we prayed and talked, we've got to do more than just send thoughts and prayers and talk and pray. We have got to find ways to create action that is positive and sustainable. But it's just a heavy, sad mood, Symone, and even our students. I talked to a couple of my students via text message this morning who said they were even still sad or afraid to come out of their dorm rooms. And that's no way for a student to go to school.
No way at all. Your governor, Ron DeSantis, addressed the shooting earlier today. I want you to take a listen.
Florida, the state, and its people condemn the horrific racially motivated murders perpetrated by a deranged scumbag in Jacksonville at the Dollar General store. Perpetrating violence of this kind is unacceptable, and targeting people due to their race has no place in the state of Florida.
Councilman, do you feel like enough is being done in Florida to prevent this kind of racist violence?
Absolutely not. And we've actually done more to perpetuate it. We have set the scene for these kinds of things to happen. I mean, when you look at it and look at the fact that we now have permitless carry, look at the fact that we are targeting African-American education in schools, look at the fact that we are trying to keep diversity education out in diversity, equity, and inclusion programs, come against the trans community. We are setting the tone for this kind of stuff, and it has to stop. Equity and equality means understanding that we can communicate. We may not all worship together, do the same thing, be in the same place, but what we can do is learn from each other. And when we have this kind of divisive rhetoric, this is exactly what happens.
You know, Councilman, some people would say that some of that divisive rhetoric comes directly and has come directly from the governor of Florida, Ron DeSantis. Do you think the actions that the governor has taken since he has won re-election have potentially contributed to the climate in Florida today that led to this racist attack?
I believe that it is a culmination of all kinds of efforts. I'm not going to say that it stops only at the governor. While some of the things that the governor has done and the administration has done when it comes to education, even union busting in this climate has caused temperatures to flare. But I'm saying that it takes people from all sides of the equation. While the governor has done some things that I personally don't agree with, what we need to do is look at all facets of it. What are our local communities doing? Why are our school board members being targeted? We need to make sure that we are putting people in elected office who are using emotional intelligence to make decisions and not some aspiration to a higher office. We've got work to do, but if we sit there and dig our heels in the sand and go to our corners, absolutely nothing gets done. So it's coming from the highest offices, but these are seeds that have been planted, not right now. These seeds have been planted for a while, but now we see what happens when those seeds bear fruit.
You know, and let's talk about the gunman. We will not be using his name on this program today, but the gunman in this shooting appears to have purchased his weapons legally. He didn't have a criminal record, but he was held on the Baker Act for 72 hours for mental evaluation back in 2017. Now, the sheriff says even though his racist manifesto read like the diary of a madman, the gunman definitely knew what he was doing. I want to play this for you.
People use it to do horrible things.
Councilman, how do you see the sheriff's comments there? Because some could argue that this isn't just about mental health, this is also about hate, and yes, and still it is also about guns.
Absolutely, it's about hate. And I have to, in that space, agree with the sheriff. Guns don't kill people. Stupid people with guns kill people. But when you give stupid people access to guns, people die. So while one is not exactly moving and motivating for the other, we still got to look at the space of what's happening. And Florida literally just weeks ago instituted a permitless carry law, which means that people can have no permit and get a gun, which essentially makes every gun you have legal. That's an issue. We have got too many people with access to weapons of mass destruction, with guns. These kind of rifles aren't used for hunting. They're literally used to take lives. And so while I'm not trying to pick a fight with anybody in particular, what I am trying to do is do the work and use my voice and whatever platform I have to protect our communities. Our kids are hurting right now. I was on the phone earlier with the National Association of Black Psychologists. I've been reaching out to my friends in academia who are also academics, who are psychologists, trying to get help for our community, because you got kids that don't want to come outside. You got people that are saying, well, we need to go back and retaliate. There are so many things that are happening here. And at the end of the day, it's because we are giving people access. And that is what we have to stop. It's yes about education, but it's also about limiting access. So when there are people who have mental issues, that we are ensured they do not have access to do something this happens.
You know, you make a very good point here. So I guess my last question for you would be, what is your biggest concern as the community moves forward? Because many local leaders, such as yourself, have been speaking out. You just talked about a number of the different things that can and should be done. What's your biggest concern?
Yes. Symone, my biggest concern here is just ensuring that we are talking to each other. We've got to do the work. There's a forum going on right now, but we got to do more than just hold vigils and forums, and we got to make sure that the needs of the people are met. Right now in this community, one of the immediate needs we have is that Dollar General was actually a place where people could go and get the groceries, their eggs, their milk, stuff they needed for the week. Now those people don't have access to that in the community. So I've been trying to work with some grocery providers and other community service organizations to ensure those people are eating. But we got to do what we need to do to help each other. We first got to have conversations. We got to make sure our mental health is protected, because people just don't know where to go. And when you have that unbridled enthusiasm and that move to want to do something different, you don't know how it's going to come about. And let me tell you, Symone, yesterday, former Congresswoman Marcia Fudge helped us put together what's called the house party that they've been having. And,
yes. Marcia Fudge, the current Secretary of Housing and Urban Development. Yes.
Correct. So Secretary Fudge helped us put this event together. Well, this event was supposed to be at Edward Waters University. Unfortunately, there was a pipe that burst, some air conditioning issues. Of course, we're in Florida, and we were able to get that event moved about 2 miles away to the State College. But had not that catastrophe happened at the school, we would have had hundreds of people there, black and brown people of unique income circumstances, trying to get home ownership. And it doesn't run past me that we've been promoting this event for a while, and not many people, unless you were registered, knew that we were moving the event to a new location. So we got to do better with making sure. When I say we, I mean there is a lot of work. And Symone, I got to say, I'm so thankful for you continuing to do the work. I cannot enough thank you for all you do.
Thank you, Councilman. Jacksonville City Councilman Rahman Johnson. We appreciate your time, and we are praying for your community, and we know you all are looking for action. Coming up later in the show, folks, I'm going to break down exactly how extreme